The weather this weekend has been absolutely wonderful, a real harbinger of good things to come. The snow has receded substantially over the last week, and the loss of snowpack accelerated yesterday and today, which is Sunday. It's mid-afternoon, and I was out on the deck taking in the scene when I thought I should record it. Because, unfortunately, we're getting a spring snowstorm starting tomorrow morning. The predictions are for 4 to 8 inches of heavy, wet snow. In terms of the climate inside the hoop house, we're now past the most intense sun and heat of the day. And with a snowstorm coming in tomorrow, this is the perfect time to transition the grafted trees out to the hoop house where the rootstock can begin waking up and sending sugars up to the wounds Michael and I inflicted on the trees. The hope, with every grafted tree, is that those sugars begin to flow through the capillary system of the rootstock and into that of the scionwood. I made it further with cleanup last fall than I ever have in previous years. Part of this is the added storage capacity I have with my dedicated woodshed, dedicated workshop, and still partially completed dedicated ATV garden storage shed. But a big part of it was a commitment of time to do the cleanup. That said, there's still room for improvement this year because I was still scrambling to get some things off the ground just before the first snow fell. This plastic is one of those. I saved this from the hoop house rebuild, with the intention of using small sections to fully close in this small hoop house. But it was last on the to-do list, so it got crammed in here just before snow. And at the time, I couldn't get it all the way in through this hole, so it's been half frozen to the ground all winter. I'd like to at least get it off the ground and into the hoop house before tomorrow's snow. Well, it is hard to believe that we are under winter storm watch from tonight around 8 p.m. until, well, it depends on what weather you're looking at, but sometime tonight until sometime early Tuesday morning. We're supposed to get 5 to 8 inches of snow, and then they're saying it's going to switch to rain, which everybody's really hopeful for because we've all kind of made the mental and emotional transition out of winter. It's 60 something degrees out right now. Sky is brilliantly blue, and I've been finding anything I can that needs to be done outside because on a day like this you just don't want to go in, especially since we're supposed to get up to 8 inches of snow. overnight, which is kind of a bummer because I'm really enjoying this. But that's the way it goes in Maine. I just tightened up the greenhouse a little bit, and I got the trees out there. It's a really good time to put things out in the greenhouse that have been inside for a while, because it's late in the afternoon on a really nice day, and then tomorrow it's supposed to snow, so the light will be really diffuse. So that gives you a little bit of a easing in period when, if you just put them out, like if I'd put things out in the morning, it would just be really quite a shock to the system for the fruit trees and things like that. So anyway, this is a good time to put stuff out. I've done that, and I'm just trying to find other things I can do to be outside until it gets dark.
Because I threw this whole setup together, and especially because I did that while there was still snow on the ground, the stove is not level, which means the sap doesn't fill all parts of the evaporation pan to the same depth. When you start to get low, that's a problem, because any place where the level of liquid gets too shallow runs the risk of scorching as it boils away, which is a pain to clean and creates off flavors in the syrup. So I'm going to try to level it using these meat hooks, which were in a house that Emily and I bought many years ago and have since sold, but I couldn't just throw them away.
Clouds are starting to roll in from the west. So I guess they were right, it is going to snow tonight probably. There's no way to avoid it unless some change in the wind happens and it goes out to sea. But I was just eating out on the deck, which should tell you something. It's super nice out. And I was looking down and noticed that the wind the other night that messed up the greenhouse also ripped the plastic off my low tunnel where I overwintered my leeks and some spinach that I planted late. The spinach is looking really good, so I just need to cover this again before it snows tonight, because I don't want that to get ruined at the last second after it's survived all winter.
One of the important things to keep in mind with these low tunnels is that the hoops need to be placed firmly into the soil. How far you stick them in depends a great deal on where your homestead is and how much snow you receive. This year we had a lot of snow. Nothing record-breaking, at least I don't think, but a lot. And it got cold in a way that allowed the original snow to stick around and just keep building on itself. The state of this low tunnel shows you what happens when you get a lot of snow and you didn't put the conduit far enough into the earth. In my experience, the hoops on either end of the tunnel take the brunt of the force of the snow's weight. Typically, I actually try to drive the end hoops in a little bit further. Some years, I'll actually double up on the ends, placing 2 hoops a foot apart rather than following the pattern of 4 to 5 feet. And I've even tried putting the end hoops in at an angle so that the top of the hoop is angled away from the tunnel. That way, the weight of the snow is pushing directly against the force of the hoop. I don't actually recommend that because if you don't get the angle just right, you've likely made things worse. The easiest thing to do is drive the end hoops in a little deeper. I don't remember the day I put this tunnel out, but I must have been in a hurry. As you can see, the end hoops failed. Then, there was the beginning of a domino effect as each successive hoop became the end hoop. The hoops weren't damaged, they just fell over and the ends pulled out of the holes. I'll just get them righted and be sure they're well enough in to last the rest of the spring, or certainly through this coming wet, heavy snow.